Sometimes things just do not go right when you're out on the water, kind of like some of the clips we'll see in this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Now when things go wrong in the water, it is not always your fault. There are always situations and other elements and factors that can make your day be a bad one while you're out there. Sometimes you just decided, hey, we're gonna go out on the boat, let's go do a little tubing, and then you realize you've got a madman behind the wheel. And even though this one's bad enough, sometimes it's even worse, and that's when you realize the madman behind the wheel is not the guy who's pulling you, but the guy who's out there with you. And the stakes get even higher when the madman behind the wheel is captaining the boat that you're in. I definitely have a feeling these two blokes' significant others were not happy about this one. Now when things go wrong in the water that are not your fault, it is not always the captain to blame though. Sometimes you're out there fishing and well, the fish decide they just want to fight back. Or sometimes you're out there relaxing, just chilling in the water, enjoying the view, letting the peace and serenity of the water come to you, but sometimes people just aren't having that and decide to wreck your fun to no fault of your own. And then of course there's always one of my favorites, and that's when they made the boat too small. Of course this is not your issue, this is a boat manufacturing problem. I mean definitely when this guy bought it, that salesman should have told him that, hey buddy, you're gonna have a little bit of trouble getting through on this one. I mean I do realize that the boat market's extremely tight right now due to major supply shortages, but this really does take that term to a whole new meaning. Now as we've learned, things are not always your fault when things go wrong in the water, but there are those times where unfortunately it is your fault that things went wrong. Some of us just make some boneheaded mistakes for whatever reason. When some of us find ourselves around water, we just do silly things. It's like we lose our bearings, kind of lose ourselves a little bit and let the water kind of take control. And while I'm sure nobody has any bad intentions when this kind of stuff happens, bad things just happen when you kind of let yourself get a little loose. Kind of like our guy right here. He thought he was going to go out there in water and have a good time, and well, he's basically just created a training video on how to sink a boat in about 10 seconds. It really is kind of impressive though when I watch this to see how fast this thing fills up and how fast it flips. He's definitely a pro at this one. And of course sinking the boat's bad enough, but it's even worse when you sink the car. Kind of like we'll see right here where somebody forgot to set the emergency brake. This one's actually one of the more impressive car sinkings I've seen though. These guys right here actually make the last ditch effort to actually try and save this car. Usually we'll see people kind of standing around panicking, running, but our guy right here just got into this vehicle. The vehicle's already running and he's gonna try and drive this thing back up the ramp. And after seeing a ton of videos like this is actually the first one I've ever seen somebody actually save the vehicle. Makes me wonder if that snorkel that's on the front of this was actually there intentionally just for this. And as we see him open the door, they also got the free cleaning of the inside of the car by this as well. I mean, when you really think about it, this situation's almost turning into a win-win. As a captain, we've all suffered from this. You take your eyes off the water for a few moments and things just seem to go wrong. Or even worse, if you're driving around and you take your eyes off the road, well, that can turn into tragedy pretty quickly as well. This is definitely one of the ones that I always find interesting. As captains, we are always trying to prepare for everything that can happen out on the water, but for some reason this seems to be one of the more neglected things in boating, and that is what can happen when we're actually still on land before we even get to the water. And I now bet all this guy's thinking about is what marina should I sign up for a slip at instead of towing this thing around. And then there's always that time you decided you're going to go ahead and take the family out of the famous haulover inlet. These clips right here come from my boy Wavy Boats, and me and him did a little collaboration video about a year ago, and we're actually working on another one now, so be on the lookout for that in a couple weeks. But here this crew comes rolling out a haulover. It's just a nice fun day. The family's all chilling, relaxing, enjoying themselves, when all of a sudden out of nowhere, bam, this captain made that mistake of not paying close enough attention. And one of the toughest parts when these captains make these mistakes is captain typically doesn't pay the price. He's usually still in a position where he's okay. It's almost always the crew. The crew's the one who takes the pounding. They're the one who goes flying and pays the price for the captain's error. Fortunately, this crew right here seems to be picking themselves up and dusting themselves off, and it looks like they're going to live to fight another day. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like AK Hurd, Lisa Stevens, Milan Bass, and Wavy Boats did this week. And if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.